Hello, welcome back. Young Scots affected by having a family member in prison have taken part in a year-long art project to help them better express their feelings. Arts organisation Vox Liminis have run a series of workshops to support those who they say suffer a sentence of their own when a relative is locked up. The Breaking Ground exhibition is the culmination of their work, and our reporter Clare McNeill has been talking to some of those involved.
Part of you goes to prison with them, like there's a gap in your life that's been created, and like there's nothing that can fill that at the time until like they're released.
When a loved one is sent to prison, the families left behind have a whole range of emotions to juggle.
There's a lot of stigma around the issue, and even if maybe you had like friends that would be accepting of it, there's still that fear that they wouldn't be, and so I think a lot of the time you keep it to yourself, and that can lead to further issues as well.
When I first went to visit my brother in prison, I was confused at what was going on, like nobody takes the time to explain it.
There's a form of judgment that floats around when you see you've got a relative in prison and things like that. So personal experience, things like school, I had teachers kind of assuming that I'd be up to trouble because I've got a family member in prison, so it's kind of like tarring us all with the same brush. There's a lot of help and support for like people who have committed crimes, so like the justice system will kind of rehabilitate people and things like that, but no one really spares a thought for the families.
Vox Liminis helps convicts and their families. They've been running workshops for the past year to encourage those affected to open up and channel their pain into something creative.
A lot of the kin members have told us that being part of this group is the first time they've really had a chance to chat about what they've gone through and what that's felt like, and just being in a room with other people who know what that's like has been really important. Art's a really powerful way to tell stories, whether that's in song or visually, and it allows people to tell their stories without all the intricate details that they might not want to share. They can come at it obtusely, they can use metaphor, they can use imagery.
The culmination of that work is the Breaking Ground exhibition, where the group were able to showcase the art they've created based on their experiences, including a magazine, an audio piece and a film.
This is my experience.
This is my experience.
It's only been in the last year working with kin that I've kind of come to terms with what happened and learned that it's okay to talk about it, you know.
The whole thing about thinking that no one else has ever gone through this situation, getting to hear other people's perspectives and realising that I wasn't alone kind of made me see it in a different way and see it in a much more positive light than I had done in the past.
When a relative is behind bars, the families often suffer a sentence of their own. But this project has given them the chance to turn something negative in their lives into something positive. Clare McNeill, STV News.
Well, here to tell us more is Alison Urie from the charity and Dylan Moore, who was involved in the KIN project. Welcome to you both. Thanks for joining us. Alison, it's amazing how many youngsters in Scotland are affected by this scenario of having a family member in prison.
Yeah, as you saw there's approximately 27,000 young people in Scotland who will, within a given year, have the experience of having a parent in prison, and that's more than who experience having their parents divorced. So it's a really high number of young people who have this experience, but it's often not talked about.
So tell us some of the things that you've been hearing about the effect of those on the outside.
The effect on those on the outside, it obviously varies from family to family, but for some, they will experience real loss in their family situation. For some, it may affect who they live with, where they live. For many, it will result in stigma that they struggle to make sense of. They may find their peers at school or the newspapers bringing up things from their family. Things in their family that they have not taken part in, and that might knock on to how they are seen, what their identity is.
Dylan, how much of that can you relate to what Alison's just described?
Yeah, I think it's quite common. Our thread within our group is that a lot of people kind of found the experience that when they went into high school, and I think going into that kind of environment where you're suddenly exposed to a much wider crowd of people and having this thing that you don't feel comfortable talking about, it's something that you have to hide. It kind of creates, I guess, whereas there's one family member in a physical prison, it maybe creates like an emotional or a mental prison within yourself.
Tell us a bit more about the KIN project then. Alison, take us back to how did it all start?
Yeah, we've actually developed this project in partnership with Families Outside, who work with families affected by imprisonment. And much of the work that gets done in that area is around supporting partners or maybe younger children. And myself and a colleague from Families Outside started thinking about the effect of imprisonment on family imprisonment on young people. And so we decided that we realised that this was a really untalked about social issue, and so started thinking how could we try and open this up. We in Vox Liminis look at things through art, through making stuff together, explore issues, explore ourselves, explore ideas through making new art, and so we decided to apply that approach to this particular issue and try and raise the conversation in this way.
Dylan, how did you get involved?
Actually, I was taking a year out before going to uni, and I was just a girl I knew posted on Facebook saying there was this project starting, and if anyone had any experience of a family member in prison, if they wanted to get involved. It's not something I wouldn't usually be the kind of person to put myself forward for things, but it just felt so relevant to me, and just like Alison was saying, it's something that isn't really talked about, and I'd never really heard of anything like that before, so I just kind of really wanted to get involved to give something back from my own experience.
So you didn't feel that you were going in there to necessarily help yourself. What did you want to put back?
I think just, like I said, when I was younger and I was growing up, I felt like it was something that I couldn't talk about, and it definitely had some issues that I then took on to later life, and it took me a while to deal with it. So I went into the project feeling like I'd dealt with it all, but I think the nature of the project is about creating this sort of safe space to have a conversation in, and so within that I kind of developed a totally different perspective on the issue.
So how many people were involved in the group?
Is it 9, I think?
Yeah, so there's nine young people who've had this experience, and then a number of artists and others working alongside. So it's a deliberately small number of people to try and intensely kind of spend time together, go on residentials together, spend whole days together, working with different artists to really explore research and make art out of this experience, and then start to share it wider. So a lot of our plans from here are to, how do we take this artwork to schools, to youth groups, invite other young people to be part of this kind of process, but starting from this really intense group that has created the work that's just been released.
So what did you actually work on, Dylan? Because you're now at Glasgow School of Art. What did you work on whilst you're in the King Group?
Yeah, so we basically have done 3 pieces of work so far. We have the first Wars film, which you've seen just in the clip there at the start of that, which is the first thing we ever made together. The second project we did is the Golden Thread. So it's kind of like an audio maze. It's audio tracks with spoken word on it that relate to cards. You use the cards to listen to the track, and you're kind of supposed to wander around and take that in. And the third piece we made is a zine called The Thing, which is a collection of texts and images, which is all around the theme of familial imprisonment.
How was it being thrust together with 8 other people who you didn't know, and at the heart of it being quite a sensitive subject? Was it something you talked about instantly, or did it take quite a while for it to gradually get discussed?
I think it's always going to be strange at first, going away for a weekend with a bunch of people that you don't know. But I think what we do within Kin, which is really important, is that in using creativity, you don't have to talk directly about your situation, and we all kind of talk about this thing. We've known each other for such a long time now, and I don't think anyone has ever asked each other, what did your dad do, what did your brother do? Because we know the sensitivity around the subject, and so we're sensitive to each other, and I think that's why we bonded so well, and why the work that we make has such a strong energy to it. And
I'm guessing that these are people who you're never going to lose touch with now.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're such a strong group, and we have such a strong energy around us.
Well, Alison and Dylan, thank you both very much for coming in and explaining a bit more about your Kin project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this year's Shetland Viking Fire Festival Up Hellier is being held in Lerwick. The festival has been a feature in the Shetland calendar since the 1880s and has become a major tourist attraction. It's the biggest procession of its kind in Europe and celebrates the island's Viking heritage. Now remember, you can get in touch with us if there's a story you think we should know about or an issue that you want us to highlight. You can contact any of our reporters by Facebook or Twitter, and keep up to date, of course, on the STV News app. And that's it for the moment. From all of us here on the STV News team, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.